There is no place like Nebraska, dear old.
The University of Nebraska-Lincoln, home to the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team, one of the largest buildings dedicated to the study of chemistry, the lead center for performing arts, and many other attributes, making the university one of the most prestigious public universities in the country. Certainly, there is no place like Nebraska. Or is there? What if we told you that this campus, what looks like the university, is actually a confined outdoor replica in North Korea? Why have countries and states began to take after Nebraska? Is there really no place like Nebraska anymore? Tonight, we go deep inside the international controversy, which has now been dubbed the Red Race.
The frightening prospect was revealed by CIA Director George Tenet, who was appearing before a Senate Armed Services Committee today.
Does Korea have the capabilities of building another University of Nebraska?
We declassify. I think the declassified answer is yes, they can do that.
We've always had a concern about North Korea's capabilities, and that's not new. You've heard that before.
But why? Why are countries starting to look like Nebraska? Even here, we have exclusive footage of a boy in southern Morocco with this shirt. We talked with Dr. Shakrella, a political analyst who's been doing research on the topic for 3 years.
There are several aspects of Nebraska, and more specifically the university, that can easily put a country or nation or university ahead of another. For instance, in the realm of sports, the university having had an outstanding record in general, and also in the area of academia and research. Now, because of this, every country thinks that in order to catch up with the modern world, or to catch up with Nebraska, they have to either become or acquire or mimic Nebraska, the means of which have varied tremendously over the years, from Russia trying to build a replica of the entire state of Nebraska back in the 80s, which they abandoned due to lack of funding. And from that down to even the smallest dash of red.
The UN has gone into serious debate on which of the N countries would have the right to adopt the big red flag.
The fateful question posed by Warren Austin, head of the United States delegation to the UN, set the mood of the world. The seating of nationalist China's delegate on the Security Council precipitated a clash between the free nations and the Soviet bloc, which only ended with the abrupt departure of Jacob Malik, head of the Red delegation. A blunder they were to regret.
Nevertheless, the flag inevitably ended up with China. Even in our own country, Boston University, in an attempt to compete with the Huskers, has drafted a professor of mathematics by the name of Bob Devaney, who, as explained in detail on his website, managed to avoid a speeding ticket and sneak across Nebraska unharmed by assuming the identity of the late football coach. The president of the university has denied this claim. I agree with the president when he gave his press conference that it is becoming very difficult to distinguish between institutions or states miming Nebraskans and miming Nebraskans on the personal level. There was even that incident last year when the guy took on the identity of Professor Hames of the anthropology department. It would have been okay the way the university handled it, but when Hollywood had to cash in on the whole thing by making the big red line.
A man's life in Nebraska, stolen. In order to reclaim his place in the state he loves, he must journey to another realm.
There is a place like Nebraska, and I'll show it to you.
The movie wasn't all that great, just another communist scare when communism wasn't a problem. But nevertheless, the Nebraska theme has caught on, like when Spielberg began shooting scenes for his next film, Remember the Huskers. With coaches Bob Devaney played by Gene Hackman, Tom Osborne by Tom Hanks, and Bill Callahan by Samuel L. Jackson. The theme common in these movies, though, is the idea that we can't replicate Nebraska because there is no place like Nebraska. So despite the shallowness of these movies, they all have a common, important lesson, I guess. But what about the future? What if the rumors are true that countries are building their own Nebraska testing facilities, complete with Sandhill cranes and Kool-Aid? All we can say for sure is that, at the end of the day, there still is no place like Nebraska.